Okay. Good night. We will be presenting the skills form, the number 1 to 12. Together with my colleague Ivan Loarca, Naomi Portugues, Joshua Ciro, and me, Indra Luna.
Well, skill number 1. This skill refers to a person's ability to ensure that a sentence contains a subject and a verb. In grammar, the subject is the entity that performs the action or which of the action is performed in sentence, while the verb is the word that express the action or state of the subject. When we boil a sentence, it is essential to include both the subject and the verb in order for the sentence to make sense and be grammatical correct. The subject provides information about who or what is performing the action, and the verb describe what action is taking place. For example, a job on the day shift or the night at the plant available. This sentence is incorrect because the sentence has a subject work, um, but doesn't have a verb. The correct sentence will be a job on the day shift or night at the plane available. The next, please. Skill number 2 refers to being careful with the object or preposition in grammar. A preposition is a word that establish a relationship between other words in sentence. The object or preposition are the nouns or pronouns that follow or preposition and complete its meaning. When we use preposition, it is important to select the proper professional object to ensure that the sentence makes sense and is grammatical correct. When choosing the object or preposition, we must consider where it is agrees in grammar, number, and case with the preposition and the context of the sentence. For examples, for the last 3 years at various hospitals in country has been practicing medicine. This sentence is incorrect because the verb has been being practiced, but there is not subject. So it's word. The past 3 years, various hospital and the country are not subject. The only they are only subject of preposition. Um, Contrary, though this example, the interviews by radio broadcaster were carried live by the stations or analysis. Subject interviews and verb is where carried, so it's correct. Radio broadcaster is not subject, is it's object of preposition by. Uh, the next, please. Finally, the skill number 3 refers to being careful with verbs and appositive. It's a grammatical construction in which a noun or pronoun is placed next the other noun or pronoun to clarify or give more information about it. It's important to be careful when using a preposition to ensure that they are placed correctly and do not cause confusion in the sentence. Here are some key things to keep in mind when holding bets. Um, Generally, a comma is used to separate an opposition from the rest of the sentence. This helps to indicate that the opposition is a classification or additional information. They can also be at the beginning of sentence separate via comma. Examples. Um, Last semester, a friend graduate cum laude from university. This sentence is wrong because a friend's a positive sentence um, is incorrect. The verb is graduate, but there is no subject. Contrary to this example, the only entrance to close the door was get locked at all times. This sentence is correct because the only uh, entrance to the closet is a positive. Subject is the door and verb is was.
Now we are going to talk about present participles. Present participles are more ing verbs, and sometimes they can be adjectives and sometimes they can be verbs. And of course, they have verbs if they are preceded by a verb form. Here you can see two examples. The first, the child now playing in the yard is my son. We must check if the sentence has a subject or a verb because that is the basic sentence structure in English. And the second example is the spices flowering the meal were quite distinctive. In this part, just the sentence have the main verb is your verb to be and your verb but in ing, and or have the adjective. Next, please. The skill 5, be careful of past participle, is often ends in I and D, id, but there are also many irregular past participle in English. Past participle can cause confusion in the structure section because a past participle can be either an adjective or a past of a verb. The past participle is the form of the verb that appears with have or be. We can see different structures like present perfect, past perfect, future present, and past models. We use that forms in all sentence. One example is the family has purchases a television. In this sentence, the past participle purchases is a part of the verb because it is accompanied by has. Skill 6, please. In these skills, use noun clauses connector. We talk about connectors. So first, let's see how we are going to deal with connectors in the I-type test. What are connectors? The connectors I use in English to connect two clauses. And when I say a clauses, I mean a subject and a verb. So two clauses mean subject and a verb subject, and in the middle a connector for that. The first clauses have a well, we see the example. Tom is singing, comma, and Paul is dancing. That the first clauses is Tom is singing, and Tom is my subject, and is singing is my verb. A comma and my connector is and. In my second clauses, and my verb is dancing. We have the other example. She loved, but she wanted to cry. My connector is but. She is not and wanted. It's my verb. Skill 7.
Good night. My name is Ivan, and I'm going to explain you the skill 7 tonight about connectors. In this case, first is time and cause connectors. So the main adverbs that act as a connector of time and cause are the ones that you will see in the following examples. As you can infer, time connectors are used to indicate when one action is performed related to another. So for example, she left my house before midnight, or in Spanish, ella se fue de mi casa antes de la medianoche. In this case, before is our connector that um, makes make a time in the verb that is left, and that can complement make a complement about the sentence. In the other case, they went to the party and then went back home. Ellos se fueron a casa y luego volvieron. Ellos se fueron de una fiesta y luego volvieron a casa. In this case, them is function like a unit to two ideas in one sentence that make more complex in this case. The other kind of connector is cause connectors are are the thinking words that show the relationship between two or more ideas. They can be complementary or contradictions. It doesn't affect if its structure is well. For example, Otmar bought a pink blouse because she didn't have the color in her closet. Or in Spanish, Otmar compró una blusa rosa porque no tenía ese color en su armario. In this case, we can use a complementary idea that the first idea is both a pink blouse and because is to add this second idea that justify why the person did the first. In the other example, because she didn't have that color in her clothes, Otmar bought a pink blouse. Or in Spanish, debido a que no tenía ese color en su armario, Otmar compró una blusa rosa. In this case, we change the order and we can use because in the like first in the sentence. In this case, we can express the same in different words, but using the same structure. The second idea in the first and the principal idea that is about the pink blouse is a second. In the other is the skill 8 is use other adverbs like connector. And before talking about connecting adverbs, it's convenient to clarify the basic concept in the grammar of the word adverb. An adverb is the one that is charged of modifying the meaning and sense that a verb has within on a sentence. In other words, another of the main functions of this adverb is to create a logical relationship between the parts of the sentence. When this happens and the adverb fulfills the role of connecting the paragraph to give complete meaning to a sentence or a paragraph, we refer to adverbial connectors. Adverbial connectors relate and make two or more independent paragraphs understandable. For example, the two main structures of adverbial sentences with connectors are the following. First one, he can't sleep well because he has been very worried. Él no pudo dormir bien porque ha estado muy cansado. Or the second one, because he has been worried, comma, he can sleep well. Or in Spanish, porque ha estado preocupado, no ha podido dormir bien. As you can see, the part of the sentence are the same. He can sleep well and he has been worried. In both cases, the paragraph he has been worried is introduced by the because connector. In the first example that we show you, the connector is in the middle of the sentence and no comma is used to separate the parts of the sentence. While in the second connector is the one that is start with the sentence because and you must put a comma as a punctuation mark to give the rim to the sentence and this is more enter to the person. And skill 9 is use noun clause to connector. A nominal clause or noun clause is a group of words among which we can find a subject and a verb that together perform the function of a noun. Noun clauses are always subordinate, that is, their mean depends on the other components of the same sentence. It does not make sense on its own. Noun clauses are usually being with the words how, when, where, which, why, however, whatever, that, etc. For example, he told me that he will come tomorrow. Or in Spanish, él me dijo que vendría mañana. Or in the second exercise, I don't know why he said that. Or in Spanish, no sé por qué él dijo eso. In the second example, we can see two clauses that are I don't know and he said that. The two parts of the sentence are connected with the word why, which is responsible for transforming the second clause into a noun that is turned the object of this kind of connectors to make sense to the sentence. There are other uses to use a noun clauses connector, and there is some of it. Nominal clauses fulfill the same function as a noun in a sentence, and they can be the subject of a verb. For example, what she said was a big lie, or in Spanish, lo que ella dijo era una gran mentira. The other kind is like can be the object of a verb. My friend didn't know that I could ride a bike, or in Spanish, mis amigos no sabían que yo podía montar en bicicleta. In this case, we use that like the object of the same verb that is know to connect to the new idea that is I could ride a bike, and we use the same structure that in the others, but uh, linked to the verb. And the other is can be to a complement of a subject that his mistake was that to dedicated to stop studying. Or in Spanish, su error fue que decidió dejar de estudiar. Or in the final, can be the object of a preposition. Her parents are not responsible for what she did. Or in Spanish, sus padres no son responsables por lo que ella hizo. That's all my time with you. I leave you with my partner, Joshua.
The next is skill 10. Use now close connector subject correctly. And we have three structure. The structure number one is object of a verb. Is structure subject plus main verb plus connector plus verb. In this case, what is in color red is noun clause. And the second structure is object of a preposition. The structure is subject plus main verb plus preposition plus connector plus verb. And in this part that in color red is noun clause. And the next structure is as a a subject, connector plus verb plus main verb plus complement. And we have noun clause uh, in first part, and we use who, and whoever, what, whatever, whichever. Some examples are I know who sing that song, and in this example, uh, our noun clause is who sing, and the second example is whoever can go to the party. In this case, our noun clause is whoever can. And the next skill is skill 11, use adjective clause connector correctly. And in this skill, we use the one who is for a people, which is for thing, and that is for people and things. The structure, the structure is not exactly because uh, adjective clause mm, can be in the middle or at the last. Uh, but the structure that I use, for example, is the next subject plus connector plus subject plus verb plus verb. In this case, what the color red is adjective clause, and the example are I went to the party, which it has new equipment. In this case, the adjective clause is which it has. The second example is Isra, whom I visited, that is my friend. In this sentence, adjective clause is whom I visited. The next skill, the skill 12, use adjective clause connector subject correctly. We use who is for a people, which is for thing, that for people and thing. The structure is subject plus connector plus verb plus verb. In this case, what is in color red is adjective clause. Same example are the series that is on TV is new, and in this sentence, adjective clause is that is. The second example is that cat is the cat that is in the yard is mine. In this sentence, adjective clause is and that is.